After its successful nationwide protest, which held in different states of the Federation early on Tuesday, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has suspended further street protests earlier scheduled to continue today. Yesterday, the NLC made good its plan to hold nationwide protests over the cost of living crisis in the country. The union wants the federal government to implement a working policy immediately that can bring Nigerians out of the current hardship. Arise correspondent Punarimam Benjamin reports on the protests in Abuja, the federal capital.
This is the plight of John Oga and many other Nigerians, which has now led to protests across the nation, including this one in Abuja, over the rising cost of living. Since the removal of fuel subsidy by President Bola Tinubu last year, Nigerians have been thrown into an untold hardship with a constant rise in the cost of living. Transportation, food commodities have all hit the roof. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the federal government have been discussing ways to cushion the effect, but Labour believes that efforts are not good enough, hence the resort to these nationwide protests.
Check what is happening in Lagos. The customs say they are selling product they seized, and there were about 7 people that died. Have they compensated for such families? Who is responsible for the death of such people? Because of hunger. There's absolute hunger, and you say we should not say we are hungry. So should we keep quiet and die? The answer is no.
Earlier on, the government had made several attempts to stop the NLC's planned protests through the court, but this didn't deter them from coming out on the protest today. But union leaders are now threatening to continue with the protests until there is improvement in workers' wages.
The NLC is sounding it loud and clear that Nigerians are hungry. That our currency is weak, that transportation is high, that there is insecurity everywhere, that there is unemployment everywhere, that the wage is insufficient, that there are no pensions, no gratuity. People are suffering. The cash transfer, they say they are going to transfer 25,000 to people. They have not transferred anything.
The protests continued to the National Assembly complex, where the NLC submitted a letter to the National Assembly for an upward review.
We are here on behalf of the leadership of the National Assembly to collect your letter. We understand with you, our chairman. We feel what you feel. We want to assure you that this letter will be discussed immediately at the plenary session. The leadership of the National Assembly feels what you feel. We will.
Other civil society members joined their voices with the Labour Union, calling on the president to step down or take action.
We have told them, make the refineries work. For 8 years, they said one is about to work last year, December. That was the Labour leaders were supposed to go and visit. They said the plane that was supposed to take them developed. Till today, they have not seen the refinery because there's no refinery anywhere. But this is the same country that helped Dangote to build the refinery. Cannot repair its own refinery. It's a shame.
This is the second time under President Tinubu that the Nigerian Labour Congress is embarking on a nationwide strike. 9 months after he assumed office, they are urging him to work fast on the economy as several Nigerians are getting poorer under his administration. Punarimam Benjamin, Arise News.
In Lagos, thousands of workers and other residents took to the streets to protest against economic hardship, demanding immediate reinstatement of subsidy on petrol, among others. The long walk, which started from Ikeja under bridge near the famous computer village, terminated at the Lagos House complex, housing the governor's office and the State House of Assembly. Protesters officially presented their demands to the majority leader of the assembly, who assured the protesters that he would transmit the message to the speaker. Human rights lawyer Femi Falano, who joined the protest, challenged the Lagos lawmakers to make a law that will cater to the social security needs of citizens rather than the practice of giving handouts by politicians in the name of palliatives.
The same market
we have the same services and goods, because the prices of goods and services has increased tremendously in the country. Nigerians who are around are watching us and just wondering, why is Nigeria Labour Congress out this morning again? They will know that we are not just out because we want to collect salary, but because of their own problem too. Nigerian problem is our problem.
We should allow the masses to breathe. Bring down there should be economic, there should be price control. The way things are going on now, it may lead to anarchy, and we don't want that in this country. There's provision for payment of unemployment benefits to those young people who are not productively engaged. So what we are suggesting to the House and to the National Assembly is a passage of a social security bill to take care of the vulnerable in our society and to ensure that at the end of the month, not once in a blue moon, as you had during COVID-19, that you are going to talk of cash transfer. It must be a regular phenomenon until we're able to provide them with employment. That's the purpose.
And we assure you that by the grace of God, things will get shape in Lagos State and Nigeria as a whole by the grace of God. On the issue of our senior advocate of Nigeria that mentioned about social security and unemployment bill, we will report back to the leadership of the House, and we assure you we will look into the bill and something will be done about it.
Right, reports from the NLC protests yesterday in Abuja and Lagos. Yesterday, we actually crossed live to Comrade Joe Ajari, who was speaking to pressmen during the protests in Abuja. Rufai, your take on these stories?
Okay, so to the NLC, congratulations. This was largely successful. I mean, some train services were disrupted across the country. NLC came out in mass. I think in Enugu, there was a police report about insecurity concerns, so I think they didn't come out largely. But in Sokoto and other parts, they came out. In Niger State, for instance, I think the State House of Assembly, also in solidarity with them, was shot, you know. And across the country, in Abuja, they aired their concerns. They marched up, you know, to the House. In Lagos, the same thing with Suspends not speaking. And they've been able to rest that, giving the government another ultimatum. But I also hear that the government has started to do their part, and they were paying some monies to federal civil servants. In fact, some civil servants I had spoken to said in the space of 3 days, they've been receiving the wage award that they have not paid, and a lot has just been flowing. So kudos to government. And also kudos to the police. See, if the police does well, we'll commend them. The police in Lagos yesterday was fantastic. I must have to say that again. They were not fantastic during NSASO, but yesterday, they were fantastic, fantabulous, everything. Apart from keeping the peace, the police also showed the empathetic human side by giving biscuits and also water to protesters. And people were easily chanting, police is your friend. If the police average policeman can be that empathetic, we'll not be saying all the things we say about the police every day. So now, the police should understand that they've done this one now, we've seen it, we are saying it. The day they do otherwise, we'll also say it. But the conduct of the Lagos State Police Command was fantabulous, fantastic. I give them all the Sadanka, Taz you can ever think of. And I'm really proud of them. But we want that to continue. It shouldn't be a one-off. Also, what has the strike taught us? The strike has taught us that despite the TUC not aligning, NLC still has a place in the hearts of Nigerians. And Nigerians came out en masse. The strike also taught us that people are suffering in this country, and the government needs to have a raft of measures to be able to quell this suffering. A couple of things I would like to stretch is the conversation by Mr. Femi Falana, where he talked about a bill, the Social Security bill. I mean, we'll see to the practicality of that, but we've always had schemes, pretty much, and it's not the first time we'll have schemes to be able to quell sufferings. We had Operation Feed the Nation in the 70s, you know, when there was food scarcity and all of that. And Operation Feed the Nation also came about because of the heightened inflation in the 70s. The inflation was a result of, the good way the economy was doing, also the dodgy award being paid, and there was heightened inflation in the 70s. And also we had things like the Green Revolution. We've had National Poverty Alleviation Program. If you remember, the famous Keke Napep, which we now call today, was supposed to be part to be able to alleviate poverty. Then we have these humanitarian schemes we have under President Muhammad Buhari, safety nets and things like that. So that's something we should look at, but we should also look at how we can treat things. I also heard one of the protesters talking about price control. I'm sorry, it's not possible in this it's a free market. It's not possible. What we should be able to do is to be able to drive prices down by ensuring that we fix the logistical bottlenecks and other bottlenecks and other encumbrances, and also ensure people get jobs. Those are the things we should look at. But largely, it was a good outing. And the outing also segues into many decisions made by the CBN yesterday as regards increasing, interest rates to over 22% to be able to stem the tide of inflation. That's well on point. And also trying tightening liquidity in the system by increasing CRR. All of people expected that and all of that. And we also see that it's as if there's some more injection with the CBN now, because the CBN said yesterday they had a big push in the market, over $400 million, put into the market to be able to help people that need to reclaim the initial bills they had to settle, $400 million. That was a colossal amount. That's a big amount. That's in the market. And the circular now that they've gone back to selling, Forex to BDC. So let's see how all of this pan out. Nigeria will work. We believe it can work. Let's keep work alive.
Okay, well, relative success by the NLC yesterday, because we saw the protests nationwide. Workers trooped out to send specific messages to government that they are hungry, that hunger should end. Fix the refineries, okay? Do not remove fuel subsidy. Tax the rich, subsidize the poor, which was the banner, placard that they were carrying in some of the states. And so, on the basis of the relative success, Joe Ajero, president of NLC, said it was successful day one, and in fact, the objectives of the protest had also been met. So the protest was suspended for the second day. But today, the second day, it's just street protests that have been suspended. According to NLC president, there will be, press conferences, both at the NLC headquarters and in the various states. And what the NLC has also done is to give another 7 days ultimatum, which will expire by about March 13, within which period it is expected that the federal government will have addressed, the 16-point agreement reached on October 2, 2023, failing which, again, organized labor is saying they will have no option but to go back to the streets. And from what we saw yesterday, it was largely peaceful. Despite the initial fears by the Department of State Services that it would be hijacked by hoodlums, it wasn't hijacked by hoodlums. Despite the fact that 65 affiliated unions decided not to be part of it, notably the Trade Union Congress, and also in another breath, the National Association of Nigerian Students, the protest still went ahead, and the protesters were able not only to make their points clear, but also to deliver a message directly to the National Assembly, which we were told the National Assembly would take note of. In Lagos, yes, it was peaceful. And the special thing in Lagos is Adegoke Fayoade, that's the Commissioner of Police in Lagos, providing biscuits and water as people protested. In fact, the way it turned out, the police reminded the people that, it's part of their right to protest. They just want peace. And, to make them comfortable, the police, the Lagos State Police Command, through the commissioner, provided biscuits and water. In fact, some of the protesters began to enjoy the protest so much that they were asking for ogbono soup. They were asking for pounded yam. In fact, some of them said, if the Commissioner of Police in Lagos could continue to supply refreshments, in fact, they would rather do the protest till the end of next year so that they could collect food. Well, that's the other side of it. Some people will see it as an opportunity to eat. Now, the major point made by Mr. Femi Falana, SAN in Lagos, was about social security in one breath. He made some other statements about, palliatives and also about the Oronsaye report, how, that will not go far enough, and there are other things that government should do. But on social security, interestingly, only on Monday, or was it, yes, on Monday, the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy was reminding everyone that the government was doing a review of the National Social Investment Program, under which they are introducing subsidy, if I may use that word, stipends for unemployed youths who are graduates from NCE grade upwards, and that such persons will be supported by government. The government is also introducing what it calls a consumer credit scheme. The government, at the same time, has also said it's going to do direct cash transfer to about 12 million households. And it was in that context that Mr. Wale Edun made the point that this will be done with the use of BVN and national identification number. And I recall making the point yesterday that how many of the poor and vulnerable people that are being targeted have BVN. Many of them don't even have bank accounts. But it looks like, in terms of social security, the present administration is already thinking along those lines. The only concern that we see here is in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, and making sure that the social investment program this time around is better managed. Now, in some other states of the federation, your state, in fact, we also had the interesting development of the governor, Seyi Makinde, joining the protesters at some point and working with them and asking them, to calm down, that the future will be better, and that government was working on it. In Niger State, the House of Assembly, in solidarity with the workers, decided to suspend sitting yesterday and today to show the people that, they are part of them. In Bauchi State, it was also largely peaceful with security provided. I think, generally, while we have noted how the police behaved, this should become a standard. The police realizing, and it's clearly stated in the Police Act, that the job of the police when there are demonstrations or protests is to provide security and maintain law and order. And in many of the states yesterday, that happened. And the conflict that the DSS said could result as a result of hoodlums, miscreants, hijacking the protest did not happen. It was only in the FCT, Federal Capital Territory, that we had a group of pro-government protesters. They also had their own peaceful protests. They were supporting the Tinubu administration and asking people to be patient. While on the other hand, you had the Joajero group of protesters saying, look, government must address the hardship that the people face. This final point is that government has a responsibility, beyond asking everybody to be patient, to address the grievances of organized labor and of the ordinary Nigerians who, think that it's a matter of urgency for government to address their concerns.
All right, very quickly, indeed, the Nigeria Labour Congress have said that yesterday's protest was successful. However, as you often say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So until we see the consequence of the protest yesterday, or consequences of the protest yesterday, and I mean positive, then would be able to declare yesterday's protests successful. Now, in terms of whether or not their voices were heard or they were able to make a stamp, absolutely. I mean, you saw the reports there by reporters who mentioned that they went to the National Assembly, their letter was read out, they wrote a letter to the president. And in that letter, there was a 17-point agenda, recommendation to the president, some of which, in all sincerity, are very, very clear points and also achievable. Some of it addressing the issue around food security, talking about the reopening of all land borders to ensure that food, cement, and other essentials are allowed to come in. Amongst the 17-point agenda was also taking off import duties on essential drugs. We've talked about how the cost of drugs and essential things like that have gone up because of import duties. Talked about deploying CNG buses across the country, and also ensuring that CNG conversion kits are also available to Nigerians. So very important and very key demands that they've made. Very quickly, some other things they mentioned was also a taking off of payee, that's taxes on income tax on income earners of 100,000 naira and below, and a review of the percentage of taxes of earners of 500,000 naira and below. So these are measurable demands that they have given. Now the onus is on the government to ensure that they listen, and in listening take action. Very importantly as well, they've extended their ultimatum beyond 7 days to 2 weeks. So at the end of 2 weeks they'll review. Hopefully the government will, with integrity, respond to these concerns and also alleviate the sufferings of the people. These are the agitations of these protests across different corners in the Federation.